Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday, April 21st. We are celebrating Earth Week this week, and today we are celebrating IB Green Tuesday. It's Tuesday, April 21st, and we have two birthdays. Happy birthday to Isabella S. and Hunter Y. We wish you a wonderful Tuesday. The book we're going to read today is called Not Norman, a Goldfish Story by Kelly Bennett and illustrated by Noah Z. Jones. Not Norman, a Goldfish Story. When I got Norman, I didn't want to keep him. I wanted a different kind of pet, not Norman. I wanted a pet who could run and catch, or one who could climb trees and chase strings. A soft, furry pet to sleep in my bed at night, not Norman. All Norman does is swim around and around and around and around and around and around and around. And speaking of pets, Pearl would like to join us, so let's put Pearl up here. Oh, Pearl's playing hide and go seek with me as we're reading about Norman. This is it, Norman, I decide. I'm trading you for a good pet. Norman doesn't move, not even a fin twitches. How can I trade him like this? No one will want a sorry-looking fish in a gunky bowl. When I drop Norman into his nice, clean bowl, he starts dipping and flipping and flapping his fins around. He looks so goofy, I have to laugh. Don't think that it's just because you made me laugh I'm going to keep you, I tell him. Tomorrow you're out of here. Norman blows a stream of bubbles. What do you think is starting to happen between these two? Think they're starting to like each other? Seems that way. The next day I take Norman to school with me. If I talk him up real good during show and tell, maybe somebody will want him. On the way there, we see my friend Austin. Austin has a real cool dog and 7 puppies. Want to swap one of your pups for Norman, I ask? Who's Norman, asks Austin. My goldfish, I say. By the time I rescue Norman, half his water is gone. Do you see how the water went out of the bowl? I think he's becoming very fond of Norman. He wants to take care of him. I'm sorry, I tell Norman when we get to school. I'm really sorry. He just stares at me all googly-eyed. Finally, it's my turn to show and tell. Just as I start to talk about goldfish, Emily shouts, Jimmy's gone! Who let my snake loose? Kind of makes me glad we don't do show and tell with animals at school, doesn't it? Does anyone hear the story of how I got, does anyone hear the story of how I got Norman? Does anyone even ask to hold his bowl? No, they're all jumping and screaming and chasing the snake. Not Norman, he's looking right at me. Thanks for listening, I tell him. So Norman's a good listener. Pearl's a pretty good listener too. She's been listening to the book. That afternoon, we go to my music lesson. As soon as it's over, I'm taking Norman back to the pet store. I take out my tuba and begin to play. Boom, 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 ba, ba, boom, boom, boom. I glance over at Norman. He's swaying back and forth. Glug, 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 he mouths. Look, Norman's singing, I say. Pay attention, snaps Maestro, and try to play the proper notes. Can you see the pictures? I know Pearl's kind of looking at the book as well. Maestro makes me stay for extra practice. By the time my lesson is over, it's too late to go to the pet store. Don't think that just because you like my music, I'm going to keep you, I tell Norman. He glugs. Do they look pretty tired after their time together? That night, I'm sound asleep when scratch, scratch. What's that sound? Scratch, scritch, scritch. Yikes, there's something at the window. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I spot Norman. He isn't scared. He isn't swimming around in circles either. He glugs and gives me a little wave. I'm not alone. Together, Norman and I slide open the curtains. It was just a broken tree branch. Thanks for watching out for me, Norman. Their friendship's growing, isn't it? On Saturday, I take Norman to the pet store, just like I said I would. I look at the cats and the dogs and the snakes and the birds. I look at the hamsters and mice and lizards too. They all look like good pets, but they are not Norman. When I got Norman, I wasn't sure I wanted to keep him. But now, even if I could pick any pet in the whole world, I wouldn't trade him. Not Norman. Look, and now Norman has one amazing fish, and he's playing the tuba for him. Can you see that? I like this book. It's a nice book to show us appreciation and to think about how we should appreciate whatever it is we have, whether it's Norman or something else. So Wildcats, this month in April, we are celebrating the IB attitude of independence, and we are celebrating the learner profile characteristic of being reflective. So take a moment, think about something that you have that you can be appreciative of, or you can think about to be proud of in terms of the independence you're showing. And for that, we applaud you. Wildcats, we'll see you on Wednesday. Have a wonderful Tuesday.